Hi, my name is Al Getler, and welcome back to another episode of Leader Be Led. We want to make sure that you share our episodes by certainly taking the link and sharing that with your friends, certainly commenting below on our website or on our YouTube channel. But most importantly, we want you to tell folks about the content that we're bringing to you and how important it all is. You know, we're bringing you leaders in the marketplace, leaders in social media, leaders in technology, and leaders in new developments. And one of the things that's developing that I still think is fairly new, only been around for a couple of years, is Google Plus as a social media channel, but more than that, a social media epicenter. So I want to introduce our guest who's back with us today to dig deeper into Google Plus. Our guest is Mark Traphagen. Now, Mark has been called one of the experts on Google+. In fact, Chris Brogan, who is a very popular blogger and considered one of the people who is out there as the forerunners of Google+, and one of the expert, even gave him a nod that Mark is the one you should be following when it comes to Google+ advice. Those are pretty high compliments from a guy who's been around the internet, Chris Brogan, for quite some time and has a lot of followers. So with that, I want to welcome back Mark Traphagen to our show. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Al, great to be back with you today. Thanks for having me again.
Well, I'm glad you're here because Google Plus is something that a lot of people don't quite understand yet. A lot of people haven't dipped the toe in the water, or they certainly haven't put the whole foot in anyway. And you're going to be taking us down the path of getting a bit more comfortable with Google Plus, but more importantly, helping us to define more deeply why Google Plus is so important.
Well, that's great, Al. Last time that we talked, I think we gave a great basic overview, and folks might want to go and find that show of what Google Plus looks like, how to get started on it, how to use it, and particularly the ways in which you start to build a following, start to find people that are worth engaging with, and build your following. What I hope to do with you today is to show a little more of the value for that, particularly for people that are on social media for purposes of marketing, for building authority and influence, who want to have a voice out into the world. Google Plus is an amazing tool to do that, and today I think we're going to explain a little bit why.
Okay, good. And I think you're going to show us some very practical examples, too, by taking us into Google Plus and showing us actually what you're talking about and giving us some real examples. Because I think folks get intimidated by new things and they're afraid to go in there and try. So you're going to hopefully give us a comfort level that we can go in there and fool around with it and not make mistakes. And if we do make mistakes, not worry about it, because there's a whole new world out there to really learn and understand.
Absolutely. Do you want to go on the dive?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get in there and see what the screens look like.
All right. If we're going to look at the screens here, I'm going to share some things. Now, this is, you're not looking at Google Plus right now, but who you're looking at is a friend of mine. She's a friend of mine, not in the sense I've never met her personally, but I know her online. Her name is Courtney Ramirez. And one day, Courtney Ramirez just went searching on Google like a lot of us do. She did a search for Google authorship Quora. Now, Quora is, some people may know, is a great site for asking and answering questions. And Google Authorship is a program that Google has that lets people who create content link that to their Google Plus profiles so Google can identify them as authoritative authors in their topic areas. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, I think, a little bit later. But she was interested in the topic, wanted to see who's talking about that on Quora. So she put that into Google search. And this is what she got, her top two results. Notice the second result there.
I know that guy.
That's what she said too. And she, noticed her eye was drawn, first of all, a photograph, and that is Google authorship, which I said we'll talk about a little bit later, that caused that to happen. But what she's seeing is a Google Plus post from me that is talking about, lo and behold, the best Google authorship questions on Quora, exactly what she was looking for. And as we said, she found a post by me. Now, why? Because we're best friends. Well, we're not really best friends, but Google saw a relationship between us, that one of us, or each of us, have each other in circles on Google+. She's in my Google network. Now, when I say Google network, that can go beyond Google+. It can even be people that you have, say, in your Gmail contacts, all kinds of contacts that you have that Google knows there's some kind of relationship between you. So when Courtney goes out and searches on Google, Google says, because she's logged into Google at that time, oh, look, here's something that Mark Traphagen, whom she has some sort of relationship with, posted on that topic. We're going to show that to her. Notice here the little silhouette, if you can see that next to the search result. If you're in the United States now and you're doing a search while logged into your Google account, you'll start to see these things. And that means that that search result was pumped up for Courtney. If she had searched logged out of Google, she may not have seen that, or certainly not at the top of her search results. Google intentionally pumped that up. It's called the personalization of search, thinking she may be more interested in this piece of content than the average person because she has a relationship with me. Now, what that means is that Google Plus is giving you reach like no other social network can do because of its tie into Google. That's the thing that people need to understand that's so important about Google Plus, is that it's not just bolted on to Google, or it's not just Google's social network hanging out there somewhere in space, but it's actually becoming, with every passing week and month, more and more integrated into every Google product, the things that so many of us use every day, whether it's search or YouTube, Google Maps, Google local results. All of these things are fully integrated to Google Plus now. So you can use Google Plus to extend your reach beyond just Google Plus itself. It's different from, on most cases, when you're posting things on the web, you're kind of blowing seeds into the wind and you're hoping that something sticks out there. But because of the power of search, remember again what search did for my friend Courtney there. She had a specific intention. Google knew there's somebody that she already knows and trusts. Let's connect her up with his content. Now here's another quick example of how that works. And I'm not showing Google Plus here. I'm showing how Google Plus affects things out on the web. Not too long ago, I did a search I was looking for the top real estate agents on Twitter. Now this is my search, not logged into Google. So I'm out of my Google account now, and I'm getting more normal Google results at this point. I've just blocked out the ads in this example. There's the top two results. They're fine, but they're not really what I was looking for. There are accounts out there, web posts or Twitter accounts that are about real estate, but not the answer to my question, top real estate agents on Twitter. Now I logged into Google and did the search again, and here's what I get. This is a friend of mine, Bill Gassett, who's one of the most amazing people talking about real estate marketing on Google+. Google elevated his content in my search. There's that little silhouette again. And now I'm connected with a trusted authority, somebody who I already know, who I've seen his content before, and so it's more valuable to me.
So, Mark, one of the things that just hit me too is that you're saying, I'm now signed into Google, and I think that there's a misunderstanding too to what that means to a lot of people. So I'm going to give a shot at explaining what you just said, and you tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. If I'm using a browser like Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox, I can sign into Google, but typically I do that through one of the Google services, Gmail, YouTube, things like that. If I'm on Google Chrome, I can in essence be signed into Google all the time because I'm on, once again, another Google product that is supported by my membership to Google. So is that right?
Well, actually, it's kind of browser agnostic. I mean, you can be signed into Google just as much on any browser.
Right.
Because Google is really browser independent. It's true that Chrome is a Google product, and some things Google may work more easily with it. And another advantage that it gives you is that if you're kind of geeky like me, is you can use things called extensions that can augment Google products, that can add things to them, such as your Google Plus use. But really, anytime you're logged into Google on any browser, this personalization is going to take effect.
But again, you're saying logged into Google. So again, I have to be on one of the Google platforms. I've got to be on Gmail, YouTube, Google Plus, or something to be logged into Google. I can be on any of those things. It doesn't have to be on those things individually. Once I log into one of them, I'm logged into the rest, correct?
Although just to be completely correct, once you're logged in even if you're not looking at a Google product.
Right.
Without getting too technical for the audience, but I think a lot of people understand these days that when you log into a site, they can download a little file on your computer called a cookie. And that cookie stays with you as you go around the web. So this is why when you go to different websites, you'll start to see ads, for example, that seem to be about things that you were looking at earlier in the day. It might be relevant to that. So you're being tracked. So that's valuable to Google because if you're logged in And the reason, well, one thing I can say with certainty is that with each passing month, what we're seeing is that more and more people are using the web logged into Google.
Yeah.
And that there's a number of ways that we can see that. I won't take up time here describing that, but that's something that we know. It's increasing. And so those people, when they're logged into Google, are essentially using Google+.
Right.
Because all their web activity is being tied together. And so that ties into the personalization of their search results. No two people in the world these days have the exact same search results. Even if you're logged out of Google, there's still going to be a certain amount of personalization.
Right.
Google can see, for example, where your location is by your IP address.
Right.
So that's going to change your search results. But that's just important for people to understand that this personalization is taking place.
Yeah. No, and I think that people are catching on to that. It was interesting the other day. My daughter and I were looking at a Halloween costume website, and when I switched to some other page, she was shocked that the Halloween costume company showed up on that page. And, it gave me an opportunity to explain to her how it is following along and to help our audience understand. That's a great example. If you go searching for a new camera and then you move on to check out some of your other favorite websites that have ad positions, and all of a sudden the camera that you just looked at the company that you just looked at pops up on the big ad location, don't be surprised, because that is the power of what you're talking about.
And it's not just with ads, and this is getting a little tiny bit off our subject, but it's fascinating, I know, for people, is that even in Google search, Google has a search history on you, the things you searched for before, the places, websites that you visited. When you do a query, if I'm looking at a lot of astronomy websites, and then I just go to Google and I type in Jupiter, I'm going to see more results for the planet Jupiter, not the town Jupiter in Florida, or not the Roman god Jupiter.
Right.
Now, how did Google know that? It knows because I've been to a lot of astronomy sites. It makes an educated guess, as it were, that when I type Jupiter in, I probably want to know about the planet.
Right. And those educated guesses are known as algorithms. Am I correct?
That's what controls it, right? And those algorithms are just machine code that can actually learn, because it's in a feedback loop. It watches what we do, how we respond to things, how we don't respond to things, and that gets built into the algorithm, that information feedback that continually makes it better and better at giving us what we want, even before sometimes we know we want it.
Yeah, so I think someone's head in Des Moines just exploded when we just went through that last explanation, because we dove pretty deeply, which, you're calling it geekdom, and it's beyond that. I mean, it's just a way of life. And I never thought that when I had to learn algorithms back in school, they would be applied the way they are today. But it truly is. Math and those estimates and those educated guesses are really running it all. So when we go back to Google Plus as that core, as that backbone, really being on Google Plus is being in a space that is going to end up spidering out to touch so many other things on the web. And that's why Google Plus is here to stay. It's also why the folks that last year called Google Plus a ghost town, I can remember one blogger in particular that I followed made that bold statement that go to Pinterest because Google Plus is a ghost town. We'll soon be surprised that it's not a ghost town at all. Google Plus also has a really super mobile app. It functions better than any the other social medias. It's a really user friendly. User experience is nice. It just has so many features that some of the other apps don't have out there. Yeah. So Mark, I think that that really when you get down to it, your explanations, while they may sound geeky to use your term, really help us understand what the importance of all this is. Now, we have a few minutes left. Is there anything else you want to show us on a screen share?
Maybe just one more kind of a result of what can happen with this. And this one's a little extreme, but I always love to show it. And if any of your listeners out there, your viewers, are people that are in marketing that are trying to get a message out, they should understand the importance of this.
Okay.
So on this screen now, this is something that happened a little over a year ago. My agency, Verante, as a search marketing agency, we built a tool called Remove 'em to help people who were getting hit by the penalties that Google was putting out for people who had tons of really spammy bad links pointing at their website. And Google said, like, okay, you got to go out on the web and find those links and remove as many of them as you can, and then you can come back and maybe we'll let you back into the search results. Well, that turned out to be huge amounts of work. So we built a tool called Remove Them to help people do that. We launched the tool. We launched a website for it. And of course, I began to promote it on Google+. What you're looking at is the search results 3 days after we launched the tool. And I want to emphasize this is a logged out search. So this is not showing that personalization effect that I had earlier. This is as close as you can get to the raw or average results that people would see. And what we're showing here is that for over a week, we had the top 8 positions on Google.
Wow.
For our most important keyword that we were targeting, which was backlink removal tool. We saw a lot of people already searching for that. Now, how did we do that? We didn't set out to do that. We never thought we'd get this. But 4 of those positions are Google Plus posts.
Wow.
Some are from me. Some are from influential friends that I have that shared my post when I announced about Remove Them. Some are from our Verante page, Google Plus page. But we had built up enough authority on Google, and I have enough influential friends, that when we shared this, Google put that out so many ways. And that opportunity to dominate the search results. And then just show this quickly, that another thing about Google Plus posts when they show up in search that's kind of interesting is that if a particular post gains a lot of authority, a lot of people are looking at it, and it's from an authoritative person on Google Plus, that post can last in Google search results. This is one that I always love to show. Back in February 6th of 2012, so that's 18 months ago, I wrote a post on Google Plus about Google Plus page analytics. That was something I noticed that was getting a lot of search volume at the time. Within a week or so after it, I got up onto the #1 spot on Google for that, and I have remained, that Google Plus post has been at number 1 through 3 since then, for 18 months. So Google Plus posts show up in search. They can last in search. It's a great way to increase your exposure out there on the web. And Aldo, we have a few moments to talk about Google authorship. How are we doing on time?
Yeah, we do. We have a few minutes to wrap up on that. And I do want to mention, too, you're talking about SEO here. We did an episode probably 2 episodes ago on the importance of SEO. And why SEO matters. And so when you get back to the things that you just talked about on ranking, there's an explanation of why that's so important elsewhere on the Leader Be Led website. So yes, tell us a bit about Google authorship, because I went through the process. It was a mysterious process. One day I got an email that said, you're in. So tell us about that.
Yeah, Google authorship, and we can go ahead and put that same slide I had back on if we can, because it's showing it there. This is a Google authorship search result. But first of all, what Google authorship is it's simply a program that Google introduced right around the same time as Google Plus, where they said you can link your content anywhere on the web to your Google Plus personal profile and identify that you are the author of this content. This is something Google talked about for years going back that they wanted to do. They even had patents on it going back many years, that they wanted to be able to identify authors uniquely and build a trust ranking and an authority ranking around their content on search. This is a very exciting thing if you think about it. If you're somebody who produces content, you do blog posts, you do videos, you're trying to build authority through that, Google wants to know who you are, and they want to know what other people think about your content. Mm-hmm. So Google authorship allows you to connect that content, and then what can happen, the most visible result of that, the one that people are going to see first, is that potentially you start to get that rich snippet authorship result, where, as you saw, my profile photo was showing next to the search result. Well, that has a tremendous effect. People's eyes are drawn to a human face. Mm-hmm. Anybody that knows anything about search knows that the click-through rate on search results drops dramatically after the first result.
Sure.
Over half the people usually click on the first result at the top, and then it goes down, and by the time you get 3 or 4 results down, you're into the single digits of percentage of the clicks that it will get. But we've shown that if you have one of these authorship results with your face photo showing down 3, 4, 5, 6 positions down the page, it will get unusually high click-through rates because people's eyes will be drawn there first. And plus, they also, psychologically think, oh, this is a post by a real person. I want to read that one.
Right.
Now, all the ones above it might be by real people too, but they have no way of knowing that. So it's one more powerful way that integrating with Google Plus into your web content, anywhere you publish it on the web, can make you a superstar, can build your authority. Now, the future of this is called AuthorRank. We don't think Google's quite up there doing this in any active way yet, but their intention is to connect or collect data on all people using authorship.
Okay.
And build an authority profile around you. When I post on certain topics, do people respond well? Do they share those? Do they comment on them? Do they +1 them? And if that happens over and over again, Google starts to think, well, Mark Traphagen's an authority on Google authorship. And so my content on that topic will start to rank higher in Google search, no matter where I post it.
Right.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that really is. It really is. And, I think what we'll do is we'll pick up that point and kind of recap it in our next episode. We're about out of time, Mark, so hopefully you can come back and join us and we can dig even deeper into Google Plus and twirl the propellers on the top of our hats and do all the other things that we're supposed to be doing for those of us that get a little geeky about all this stuff. So, Mark, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to thank you for being here today. You are, I bow down to you, sir, the Google Plus expert, and I always learn when I'm in your presence. And so thanks for being here, and we'll be in touch again real soon.
Looking forward to it, Al.
Thanks. Well, folks, that wraps up another episode of Leader Be Led. Now, some of you out there, hopefully you stuck with us. If this isn't your thing, you got to know this stuff, folks. It's here to stay. You've got to be ready. One of the themes that I use when I talk to groups right now is talking about the new marketing. And that is almost coinciding with the economy in 2007 and the drop that we had, and waking up here in the current year and finding out that not only has the economy changed, but marketing has changed. This is the age of new marketing, and guys like Mark Traphagen are helping us find our way through it. So with that, I want to thank you for joining this episode of Leader Be Led. My name is Al Getler, and we'll see you next time.